Really great to see you all. And thank you for joining us. And thank you, Seashell, for inviting me. My name is Gwen Mccormack, and I am the director of Positive Eye, which is a really teeny weeny company with a massive heart for supporting children and young people, primarily and originally with vision impairments, because my background is as a teacher of children with vision impairments with many years experience. But over the years of running Positive Eye, which I've been doing for 13 years, delivering courses and training and developing fun, practical resources to support educators and parents, what I've found is that a lot of my materials and approaches work really inclusively of all children. And that's really exciting because I then have the opportunity to share those practical approaches with more people. So I work from a tiny little space in my house at the moment near Wigan, but I present here and abroad to other countries all the time. And in normal times, I would be in my old Volvo estate, and it would be packed full I can only just get in it to drive, full of resources, and I'd be travelling the length and breadth of the world delivering training. So I'm really delighted to be spending these 2 hours with you. It's going to be really lots of fun and colour and lots of practical ideas for you. So my plan is that I will deliver a section, and then I'll stop to take questions, and you can pop them in the chat box, or you can come on, unmute and talk if you prefer, whichever you feel more comfortable with. And then I'll start the next bit of the session, and then I'll stop again for questions. So you can put your questions in as you're going along. And if I miss any, Vina and Jenny are going to, at the end, we'll leave 10 minutes and we can go back if I've missed any to make sure I answer everybody's questions. It will be, there will be some stopping points, and there will be some stopping points anyway, because I live in a small house, in a small office space. It looks like it's really tidy, doesn't it, and all organised, but around me I can hardly move because I've got so many things to show you. So it's a little bit of, I have to move carefully so don't knock everything over, and I have to take things out and bring the next lot in. I can't possibly, just do that without having those moments. I'm my own stagehand here today. So there will be a few minutes when I'm doing that throughout the session, just to let you know. So if you need the bathroom at those points, that's a good one to quickly leave and come back. So you'll have to just bear with me because obviously I'm doing my best in my space. Okay, so what I'd like to share with you today, the plan for our time together, is I first of all want to talk to you very briefly for about 5 minutes about the underpinning elements of literacy and stories, and what constitutes a multisensory approach to stories, and how they fit into the everyday life of a child with complex needs. Complex needs, multisensory impairment, hearing impairment, vision impairment. I use that terminology to try and embrace all children that we're thinking about. And then secondly, really through the rest of the 2 hours, it's really sharing with you a few ideas to support those elements of literacy in a practical way, things you've already got in your house that you can use now. And secondly, to share a story with you and to tell you a story. I'm going to perform a story for you. And as I tell the story, at the end of each little chapter, after I've performed it, I'm going to stop and I'm going to show you where the learning opportunities are, and how you can milk the learning opportunity to get as much out of it as you possibly can. And at the end, when I've told the story in the 6 little chapters, and we've met Marvin, I'm going to show you, I'll bring together and use my other camera, which comes onto my tabletop, a few more learning activities. It's just easier if I do that right at the end, and then I'm not changing cameras, and it keeps the flow going better. So it might not all be, everything I show you may not necessarily be perfectly suitable for your child, but I'm pretty sure, because I've done this lots of times, that there'll be something in what I'm going to show you, some parts of it that are suitable for your child. And I'm also going to talk about the Storytime show. I'm going to do a little bit of the Storytime show. As I tell you the story, I'm going to introduce it as a Storytime show, because in June and July, Seashell are engaging me to deliver a Storytime show, all based on the story I'm going to tell you today. So you'll see some elements of that as well. And it's loud and colourful and bright and joyful and lots of fun. So a really exciting 2 hours, I hope you would agree. And what I do know is that all the elements of literacy and the story and the Storytime show, I know it works really well. I've got lots of evidence that it does with children who are deaf-blind, children who have multisensory needs, complex needs. It's making a real, truly great difference to children already. I've got lots of wonderful feedback from parents in America and in the United Kingdom about that. So there we go, everybody. That's lined us up for our morning together. What a lovely way to spend our Friday morning and thinking about how we can bring stories to life for children. I love it. It makes me feel so excited. So children with complex needs really need to develop and gain knowledge and experience of their world around them by being exposed to as many incidental learning opportunities as possible. Incidental learning opportunities are the things that we take for granted in our everyday life. We see the bird in the sky, we see the car driving along the road, we see the cows in the field, we see the traffic lights change colour, we can pick up our cup, we can pick up our plate, we can eat with our spoon, we see the spoon being washed and put in the drawer. We miss those incidental learning opportunities. I pick up my cup to drink from it and I pick it up by the handle because I know that's where you pick up a cup. I hold a cup with a handle. I drink, I put it to my mouth to drink from. So I take a lot of learning, a lot of experience for granted because I see it around me all the time from being a tiny little baby. And I'm exposed to the shape and the form and the colour and the purpose and the activity. So somebody getting in and out of a car, a cow running across a field, a chicken running across the farmyard. I see the activity. I see the beans going in the pan for dinner, the toast going in, the bread going in the toaster, and it comes out brown and it went in white and crispy when it comes out. So I see the activity of life, and that's sort of the knowledge and understanding in our everyday life. So children with complex needs or vision impairment, hearing impairment require a lot more support and help and teaching and skill building to enable them to experience those elements that a sighted child has natural access to. You know, we have that access as a child. So what we've got to do is replace it. We've got to build those skills. And we've got to teach those around us how to build those skills. And I am really, really passionate about supporting parents in this work, because I think we can all do this together and be on the same sheet together. And a lot of my work at Positive Eye in the last few years is about this, about what I'm talking about now. I talk about this and think about it all the time. So we need to do that from a young age, from being a baby, young age, through childhood, through teenage years. It doesn't stop, it keeps going. You know, so we build the concepts, we build the understanding, because that supports the child's understanding of the world in a meaningful way. It's always got to be meaningful. And as we teach the children their concepts and we build the concepts of the world around them, those concepts grow and we can add on the concept and build on another concept. So we could show them another cup, another mug. We could show them a jug, which has a lot of the same elements as a cup, but it's got a spout. So it holds liquid, and we don't normally drink our tea from it, but we put the milk in to put in our tea. So we can build the concepts of it holds liquid, so it's similar, but it's different because it does a different task. So we're constantly building the knowledge of the child. So what I like to use, and what I like to think about are theme-based approaches, building concepts around the experience, the everyday experience of the child. The literacy and the story and the understanding of the world is right around the child right now in their home. It's in the kitchen, it's in the bathroom, it's in the garden, it's in the bedroom, it's in the sitting room, it's in the park, it's in the shop. It's not somewhere in a gold box that only you put certain things in that can only be used. It's not that at all. It's right in your room. I could look around my room and there's so many learning opportunities, not including what I'm about to show you, but there are so many learning opportunities around me. So the learning and the concept building that comes into stories and into literacy are right around you, right around the child, and that's where it needs to start. It's not in the plastic teddy bear, although that's nice to hold. It's the meaningful objects that are part of the child's daily life that matter and that we need to use to engage and teach the skills of the concepts and the knowledge and understanding of the world. So developing meaningful concepts, so the cupness of the cup and the jugness of the jug are really key factors, and they are a really important, crucial, huge part of stories and developing literacy skills. So when I talk about literacy skills, and I use that terminology quite a lot, the sorts of things I mean are things like the child using their vision. So if they've got a vision impairment, encouraging the child to use their visual skills to attend or fixate or scan or track or discriminate objects, depending on the child and where their vision is up to. I mean things like tactile access, so tactile exploration, feeling the cup, not just being able to look at it, but feeling it and exploring it, and then feeling lots of cups to compare and feel the difference. Playing with cups, we learn so much through play. Pretend play, imaginary play are really massively important in developing concepts and developing language, developing tactile skills. It's another huge important part of what we do. We can do this at home as well as we can in school settings. Language development, so the words to go with, or the sounds to go with the objects we're using or the experiences we're having. And book and story skills. So book and story skills, I don't mean books are in printed word and they're in books in Tesco's and Asda and the bookshop, but I see book and story skills as much wider and greater than that. It can be in a set of real objects. It can be in real objects pinned onto pages or pinned onto a board. It doesn't have to be specifically from a book. Literacy is far more than in the printed word in a printed storybook. Literacy is around us now, all day, every day. The learning opportunities and the literacy opportunities exist all the time. We don't have to wait for a book to be prepared for us in an accessible format to be taking part in literacy. It's all around us all the time. So those are the sort of things I think about. And for each child that we ever think about, your children and the children we support in schools, the little package or the little set of skills that the child needs will be very individual. You can't compare two children. Each child's a beautiful individual in their own right, and they need a different set, a different amount, and a different group of those skills building in them. And that might change over the years depending on their development. But each child needs a different set of skills. And we're working through stories by delivering the story and having fun and playing and engaging with our children. We're developing those skills at the same time. Yes, we might do them separately as well to support one, to really home in and tune in. I'm not saying that doesn't happen and isn't important, but I'm trying to show you this morning how you can develop those skills whilst telling the story. And the story only needs to be really simple. So in other words, the experiences of life and the experiences around the child are right there now, and they can be delivered so beautifully and easily through a story, a simple story. I want to just share with you some research that I have found has really guided my work over the last years. I really love this research, and I try and get it into every course I deliver. I think it's really important for us to know about. I'm going to share a booklet with my colleagues Jenny and Vina and Hannah afterwards, which you can have. It's about a multisensory approach to literacy, and it's a booklet which tells you everything I'm talking about this morning. It's got the list of skills in and this research I'm about to share with you. So in 1997, there were 2 teachers of vision impairment, and they did some research called the Essential Experiences to undergird the early development of literacy. I love this research. I think we all need to know it, and it needs to sit abstractly above our heads. Everybody, parents and educators, we all need to know it. What they did was they went through 254, I think it was, reading books across 3 reading schemes. And they identified across those reading books 22 common or global areas of experience as essential. So they might have read a book about the zoo, and they identified that for you to be able to take part in the zoo adventure or the zoo story, you've got to know what animals are that go to a zoo. Then they might have read a book about the park, and in order to understand the park, they realised that actually you might need to know about walking to the park or going in the car to the park or what's at the park. So they identified and made a list of all the things that were common that kept cropping up across those stories, and they catalogued their list, and it came out as 22 areas that were common that kept existing. I'm not going to read every single one out, obviously, because that would take a little bit of time. I'll just read a few to cue you in. So it's things like, and these are the things that kept cropping up: doing or making things. So that might be making a craft. Crafts and model making are so important. Every child everywhere needs to make a craft and a model to go with their story. I'm making models and crafts with children who are deafblind with complex needs at the moment in America, and they're all making crafts and models with their parents. It's so, so important, because through the model making and through the crafts, and they only need to be simple things, and we'll do them on the story time show in the summer. I make crafts every show to go with the character I introduce. You're getting your tactile, your fine motor, and your visual skills built in, and your language development already just by making the craft. And they're also good for representation of the thing that you can't actually give access to, like a lion or a tiger. So it's so important that they make the simplest of craft, the simplest of models along with you. You're building so many essential skills when you do that. It can just be a bit of paper, a pom-pom, a pipe cleaner. It's nothing fancy. And I have rafts of them in my office or loft and shed here. So doing or making things, experiences with friends. So friends, games, playing. We love to play. It's so important to play with our children. Working together, sharing, helping. How many stories are about sharing and helping and working together? Looking for or finding something, mystery, adventure, treasure. Children love to find treasure, something in a box to find. It's so exciting, or in a bag. So it's those sorts of things, and these were the things that cropped up. Experiences in the community, experiences at home, parts of the house, clothes, cleaning, sleeping, eating, watching television, experiences with living creatures, animals, pets, birds, frogs, penguins. Who has an experience with a penguin? Experiencing emotions and a sense of well-being, feeling sick, feeling freedom, feeling jealous, feeling happy, and exploring nature, plants and insects, outdoors, and on they go. But you can see, can't you, if you think about the stories you read when you were little, they're all built on everyday experiences. So we must start in the everyday life of the child. It's so important. And through the story, we can beautifully develop these skills that they need at the same time, one and at the same time. Yes, you know, again, I know parallel to that, you need to do the one-to-one teaching of sign language or braille or using technology. I understand that fully. I was a teacher of VI and did that. But, you know, to try and bring it together so it's inclusive. These approaches I'm sharing with you are inclusive of all children, any child, anywhere. This is inclusive. So it's inclusive of your siblings, it's inclusive of children in class, if your child's in mainstream or attends a mainstream setting at any time. It's inclusive of everybody. It's not separate and different, it's inclusive. All children benefit from these sorts of approaches, but what we're doing is we're thinking specifically about the set of skills that really need working on to develop the literacy access skills in your child. So I've got two examples of things to show you. So I'm going to move from my chair and go behind my table. I've got two tables that I have from the range. They're my put-me-up tables. Did you ever use the word put-me-up table when you were little? I came from a generation where we called it a put-me-up table. You're going to you know, when you have somebody for tea and you need the extra chair or the emergency chair, as Peter Kay says, I'm going to get my emergency chair down. Well, I've got my emergency tables and they're right here behind me. So I'm going to stand behind it. Just going to check that you can see the front edge. Yes, you can. Okay, that's great. And I hope you like my characters that I've got up here. These are part of from the story time shows that I've been presenting in the last year for children. And I'm so looking forward to your children hopefully taking part in the summer. It was so exciting to have them all along. We'll have an absolutely great time doing that. So, okay, here we go. Moving very carefully. I don't knock anything over. I was one of those children that watched Blue Peter. You might be surprised to know that. And I went away and made everything that they made when I was little. I used to love that programme. It was so much fun. And I really actually believe that what I'm doing is a lot of how I learned. I call this old-fashioned learning. I think this is the learning that children need that I'm showing you. And it's really how I learned as a child, through lots and lots and lots of play. So we're looking at my spoons first, and then I'll show you my basket in a minute. Okay, so everybody can see. Right, so I'm going to hold the spoons up to the side. The black background, working on the black background on the black tablecloth is really important. This is black felt fabric I've bought from Amazon. This is a 2 metre length and this is a 1 metre length. And it's matte, or as matte as I think you can get. And it creates a great backdrop to work with your children. And also if you wear a black t-shirt, a long sleeve black t-shirt or a black tabard over the top, it gives really good high contrast. I'm not wearing that this morning because the camera, I'm on one webcam, and if I start wearing too much black, the camera starts not knowing where to make the focus on my face and on my body, and you won't be able to see the resources. So I'm deliberately not wearing the black t-shirt, but if I was working with a child and I was showing them objects, I would. Because if I show you that against my yellow, you can't see it, can you? But if I show you against the black, you can really see it easily. So that's the reason I'm not in black this morning, specifically. So what I want to talk to you about are wooden spoons, and I know that's a funny thing to want to talk to you about, but they're my way of demonstrating what I mean about concepts, because concepts are a really important part of literacy. And out of concepts, we'll get the tactile exploration, we'll get the use of vision, and we'll develop the book and story skills, and the language all really comes from concepts that are in the everyday experience of the child. And we've all got a wooden spoon in our kitchen drawer, haven't we? And you've all stirred beans and made scrambled eggs at some point. So when I first started Positive I read this article by a teacher, and it really made me think, actually. And I still use the same example. And what she said was, when you go to visit a child in a school and you take your bag of wooden spoons with you, do you give the wooden spoon to the child and let them feel the wooden spoon? They feel the handle and they feel the spoon head, and they explore it, and then you take the spoon off them, because you think, oh, they've understood the wooden spoon. Take it off them, put it in your bag and disappear for a week. So it's been in the hand of the child, and you take it out of the hand of the child and it's disappeared. Whereas it could have gone into, blown up into fresh air, couldn't it, for all the child knows, if they're not able to see. So the question she posed, which has really given me food for thought over the years, is, have you really given the child the woodenness of the wooden spoon? And have you absolutely milked the learning opportunities for everything you can? Have you absolutely thought of everything you can do with that wooden spoon? Because wooden spoons don't live on put-me-up tables, really, in life, usually. They might be there if we were having a party and we put up our table to put the things on. But they normally live in the kitchen drawer, don't they? That would be their typical place. If you can't see that, how do you know that's where they live? So my explanation of this is, we've got to make sure that we milk the learning opportunity and teach the ness of the object. So I need to go and take my child to the supermarket, find the corridor aisle is the word I'm after, not corridor, aisle, where the spoons are sold or stored, and feel the wooden spoons on the rack, take one down, feel it, choose one, put it in the shopping trolley, take it to the counter and pay for it, put it in the bag, feel the spoon rattling in the bag, how heavy does it weigh, let me feel it, rattle it in the bag, take it home, take it out of the bag, wash it, feel it in the water, feel it when it's wet, dry it, feel the dampness of the wooden spoon and put it away in the drawer, or make your scrambled eggs or stir your beans or make your porridge. Then I've understood what I said earlier. I've understood the shape and the form, the size and the purpose and the activity, and where it lives in life, where it lives in the universe. And then when I've done that, I need to start to think about, how many spoons of porridge do you need before you're full? If I eat porridge off that spoon, do I need 4 spoonfuls before my tummy feels full? I can't see what's happening inside my tummy. I can't see it to know, well, that's about enough. It's come up to about here, Gwen, now, so you're full. I don't know that, do I? It's a feeling of fullness, isn't it? How do you feel when you're full? So that's an abstract concept, isn't it? How do we know when we feel full? And as a child, when do we know that feeling that we feel full? It's really hard to remember back, isn't it? I don't like the feeling of feeling too full. I prefer to stop just before I get to that point. So I sort of know what I need to eat, or the amount I need to eat to feel like that. So why are some spoons bigger than others? Why is this one bigger than that? It does the same job. Some have got a little hole on the end, some have got a point on the end, some haven't. Does it do something different? Does it do the same? Does it do it better? Does it do it worse? How quickly will my arm ache if I stir my cake with this spoon? If I use this little spoon, how quickly will my arm ache? How many spoonfuls of porridge do I need before I feel full with that spoon? If I give this to my baby brother, will it fit in his mouth? And how many spoons of porridge will he need? How many will my dad need or my mum with that little spoon against that bigger spoon? This is an old spoon. It's shiny and it's smooth and it's a bit greasy because it's old and it's got a split in it. So this is old, this is new, and this is old. And those are all concepts. So even if we're not at the stage of language development, we're feeling the difference, we're exploring the difference, we're tactilely being aware of the difference. Funny sound. And sound on the table. So we're building up the concept of same and different all the time. They're the very early stages of concept development. Why has that one got a hole in there? Is it a spoon or is it a spatula? I've never quite worked out what that's for, actually. I could put my thumb through it. I think it might be for spaghetti. So it's wooden, but it does something different. And this is really confusing because it looks like a wooden spoon, but it's orange and plastic. You know, so it's then developing the spoon as a spoon, a plastic baby spoon, a little spoon that you eat your ice cream with at the theatre. So we're developing and maximising and milking the opportunity until we've run out of spoons and we can't think of anything else to do with a spoon. You know, we've played picnics, we've played parties, we've done laying on the table, we've washed the spoons, we've felt the spoon, we've drawn it, we've done whatever we can with the spoon. And that will take time. It's not in one hit we're going to do that in one morning. It's building the concepts over time and then comparing them with forks and knives. You know, and what do we use the spoon for and what do we use the knife and fork for? We're building the picture, we're building the concept within the everyday life of the child. Go to a cafe, you know, and have something where we eat with a spoon in a cafe, and role playing, pretend play, come back and pretend play that experience. So my other thing I want to show you is my basket of everyday objects. And you've more than likely seen this sort of thing before. It doesn't have to be in a basket, it can be in a rucksack, it can be in a box, it can be on a tray, it can be in a laundry bin, it can be in anything. I think I like the idea though of a lid. Children like finding things in something. There's a joy in lifting the lid and finding something. It's the experience I just shared with you, finding treasure. There's something joyful for children in that. You know, open the box, what is it? I like doing that as well, especially if it's my birthday or Christmas. I look forward to it. So in my basket, I've just got everyday objects from around the house. And I've also got a few other things that I store in here because I don't know what to do with them and I don't want to lose them. So originally, this was used when I was in my day job as a teacher of the eye with a little girl who was 18 months old who was visually impaired, and she loved it. So she would play, she loved lifting the lid, lift, 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 and she loved banging it like that. Wrist flexibility is being developed, a fine motor skill of wrist flexibility as soon as you're doing that, or opening it with your arm. You know, what's inside, that's a concept. Inside, take it out. In, out is another concept. Picking it up, feeling it, tactile exploration. So you've already discovered a few skills to develop before you've even felt an object in the basket. And then, you know, she just enjoyed taking the things out. So and then you can make the selection according to what you've got around your child. They need to be everyday objects that are familiar. So I've got a set of pastry cutters. They're plastic, so they don't cut. They're great for size and shape and do they fit together. And then I've got lots of different bathroom sponges, you know, so we can play with those in the water. We can pretend to wash ourselves, wash our faces, pretend to have a wash. I've also got a car sponge, so I can think, well, that's the same as the sponge. It's used for washing, but we wash the car. We can pretend to wash the car. You know, we can do the action of washing the car. We can hold the sponge. We can squeeze the sponge in water. We can feel it when it's wet and it's heavy, and when we squeeze the water out. We can feel it on our face. We can feel the shape. And then I've put other sponges in there that you would use in the bath or shower. So it's same and different. The spongeness of sponge. We need to go on a sponge hunt. Find a bag, go on a sponge hunt around the house. What other sponges do you have? I have a little pan scrubby type sponge for washing the pots. Let's go and wash some pots and feel the difference. That's not quite a sponge because we're going to use it to scrub the eggs off the pan, but it's used for washing and scrubbing. So it could be similar but different. And then I've also put things like toothpaste and toothbrushes in. Brushes are a great collection to make. Go on a brush hunt, go on a comb hunt, go and find all the brushes in the house and make a big bag. Take photographs of them, make a little book, make a bag, make a tray with the brushes in, pretend to use them. Go and put the brush back where it belongs. That really, really helps the concept building. Listen to the sound of the brushes. Some are soft, don't make a noise. Some are bristly and make a big noise. So you feel the weight of the brushes. So you've got the brushness of brush. Make a story up about the brushes. Number the brushes. Feel the brushes. Then I've also put in my basket lots of boxes with bells and different things in for children to find. You know, just things from around their everyday environments. This makes a nice little sound. Something to find. Pick it up with my pincer grasp. Pick the box up with my hand grasp. And there's different size boxes and different shape boxes in there. I can stack the boxes, I can knock them over, just play with the boxes. They're oval, it's oval, you know. So there's socks and there's pom-poms and grips and more sponges, and then there's some cups and glasses, a see-through glass. I can see through it I can't see through my cup, but I can see through my glass. I put some servers in. They make a really great sound. So you're exploring the objects, but every time you're feeling them, it's tactile exploration. If you're using them, you're developing the concepts. Your collections are giving the child the experience. So you're getting tactile, fine motor, language, concept, book and story skills, visual skill development, just with a few things in the basket. If your child's going to be a brailleist, it gives you brilliant pre-braille skills, because a child who's going to access by braille methods has to learn to discriminate and know the odd one out. They need to know same and different and odd one out. Well, it's perfect on that table already for that. You can get all your pre-braille skills out of that one basket. It also gives you beautiful numeracy development, early math skills, which are things like discriminating the sponge from the box because they're different, and categorizing skills and counting. So you've got beautiful numeracy skills. So from a few objects in a basket or box, you've covered all the literacy access skills and you've set it within the everyday experience of the child. Happy days, isn't it? And it's cost you nothing. Don't buy it, use what you've got in the house, because that's more meaningful to your child. So there's something for every child in this basket, and it's great for the siblings. Everybody can benefit from that, and you can change what's in the basket. You can have themed baskets or themed boxes. You know, you could put out, you could go on a sock hunt, do matching socks. Normally in our house, socks lose each other when they go to the washing machine. You know, do a hat basket. Hats are a great activity. Hats offer beautiful opportunities for developing concepts. I love hats in stories and in everyday life. So many different hats for so many different purposes. You know, a woolly hat for a cold morning, a sun hat for a hot day, different shapes, different textures. How do I look in this hat? It's a funny hat. Don't you have a hat shop? Make a hat shop. I love a hat shop. Which hat fits on which head in the house? Who's got the biggest head? Who's got the smallest head? Lots of fun to be had in a hat. Then you've done the hatness of hats. Yeah, make a hat. It's so exciting. I love it. I love this sort of learning because it lends itself to all children. You know, the possibilities in that basket are endless. And this, all I'm giving you at the moment is the teeny weeniest of nutshells. There's a lot more I could say, but that's my nutshell of concept development, linked to literacy access skills, which it's part of, linked to the child's everyday experience, which is where it belongs. So I'm just going to take this off my stage and put it in my kitchen. So just bear with me a minute while I get rid of that. Okay, so I will take a couple of questions now before I move on to the next stage. If anybody wants to ask me anything at this point, that's a good chance to do that. I'll just give you a minute if you want to type in, and then we'll come to the next bit. I'll just give you a minute while you're doing that. I'll just take these off here. In fact, I might have to leave that one there, otherwise the camera will do something funny. Just for the moment anyway. So pop those on the table, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, how are we doing? No questions? Good, no questions. I hope that means that it's good so far, Catherine, and it's making sense to you. Oh, you're fantastic, you're energetic. Yeah, I have a lot of enthusiasm and energy for this. Not for running up a hill, I have to say, but to have a lot of energy inside of me and love. I love my work and I'm very passionate about it, and I hope that comes over. I have joy in my work, huge joy and huge love for what I do, and I'm really glad that that's coming over. That makes me really happy. Right, okay, so I'm going to move on to our next.
We've got a question from Liz Wilson.
Oh,
just in the Q&A. My grandson has quad CP and CVI. What would help me create appropriate stuff?
The things I'm showing you. your grandson, if he's got CVI, he needs things setting on a black background, and with very simple high contrasting resources, high contrast toys, high contrast light up toys, high contrast objects, just one object shown at a time. And I would wear black, be against a black background, and declutter the environment when I was working with him. That's the sort of approach you need to use for your grandson. I mean, I'm going to be using more than that this morning, so I can show a range of things. Obviously, this isn't specific to any one child this morning. That will be a tailored package that your child needs. I'm giving you the overview of the sorts of things to think about. But as a quick response, that's what I would do. It's a decluttered environment on a plain matte black background, and thinking very carefully about what you're wearing to make sure that if you're showing something in front of him, in front of you, you're wearing black and no earrings and nothing shiny, so that the child knows where to look. How long do you run a story for? Well, I think that's very specific to the child. It depends on the child and what they'll tolerate. You know, it could be a 3-minute story, it could be a 5-minute, 10-minute. Again, it's very individual to the needs of the child. I would go with the flow of the child and find out by doing the story. It's only by doing it you'll know, because every child's so individual. There's no sort of sweep, there's no sort of general, well, it needs to be this long or that long. The length of the child is what's right for your child. Whatever that is right. There's no right or wrong in anything we're doing here, and sometimes we're building the jigsaw. We're understanding what works, and we don't know straight away what's going to work. We have to try and work things out to find out what works. So my answer to that would be, I'd experiment and see at what point they lose attention, and then if they lose attention, why did they? Could you extend it by doing something different with your resources? So it's very individual to the needs of the child. It's difficult for me to say exactly. There's no right or wrong answer. Lack of movement, yes, yeah, you can see the improvement in CVI, yeah. That's a bit of a big question for me to try and answer about the movement here. So I'm going to leave that question really at the moment, because it would be a complicated question for me to start to answer, if that's okay, Liz. You know, and I understand about the movement, that's a tricky part for you, and that you're trying to encourage that. But you know, and I don't know what his specific needs are, and it will be take the time to delve into that. But certainly to the same principles, engaging, familiar, fun items that he loves, and if you can give them to hold or feel or rub against the back of his hand, that sort of thing will be helpful. And the main thing is to have fun with the story as well at the same time. Don't forget to have stories that are fun. Sometimes we can be so involved in thinking what we're showing the child, we actually forget to have fun ourselves. You know, it's the object, but it might be our funny voice or our little sing-song we're having. You know, so there's other elements to the story. But it's not, I don't want to answer it, Liz. I just think it's a more of a specific question to the needs of your lovely little one there. Okay, I'm going to move on, everybody.
Gwen?
Okay, yes?
Gwen, we've got Kajal asking, do you offer one-to-one services to families?
No, I don't. No, I'm afraid I don't, because I'm so busy with all my courses and training. I don't provide one-to-one services, and my calendar and diary is so very busy. I'm happy to do group trainings like this, and I don't mind doing more of this if you want, and in a more, you know, when we can delve in a bit deeper to each area. But I don't unfortunately offer one-to-one services to families on this sort of thing. I think there needs to be more Gwen for that to happen. I need to extend myself to do that. Okay, thank you for your questions. That's very gratefully and appreciatedly. I appreciate your questions, and I apologise if I can't answer some of them in more detail. Okay, so I'm going to move on, everybody, to the next little bit. And this next little bit is I'm just going to cue us into the story and into this, a little version of the story time show. So get ready, because it's going to go a bit noisier in a minute. And I'm going to change from being how I am now to something a little bit more lively than I already am. But before I do that, I just want to also give you some more key elements of stories and creating stories. And these are my tips, really, or my thoughts. It's really great to create stories about everyday experiences, everyday situations. Anything your child's done today is a literacy experience, whatever it is. I've been for a walk up our hill. I live in Billinge near Wigan, and we have one hill. I've been for a walk up it. That's an experience. I could write a story about that. The story only needs to be very simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. And it doesn't have to have loads and loads of different things happening in it. I've been working with parents in America during the last year, teaching them about writing stories, and they've gone off and written their own stories. Parents of children with complex needs, deaf, blind children, and they've written the most amazing stories. Really simple, 8 little events, or it could be 4 little events. It doesn't have. It can be the story, can be what you want it to be. But if you make it about your child, and your child's the main character, they're more cued into it because it's about them and they've done it. So you might go to the shop, buy the spoon, come back, and then you make it into a little story. You role play out going to the shop with your child to buy the wooden spoon. And they really need that. They need that experience. So even if your child's not able to reach and touch things, or take part in the way you know with their hands and and be able to explore, still do the role play it out with them, you know, talk it through, tell the story. We went in the car this morning, Andrew got in the car with me, and we heard we put on the car engine, it went down the road, turned the corner, you know, replay the story, get in a box, make a box, find a big cardboard box, get in it, make it your car to go to pretend to go to the supermarket. That's the learning children need. That's how you can bring the real experience into the home. And it's model making, it's using models of the car, and children love that sort of thing. Children love getting in a box and pretending they're going somewhere. But if you're reenacting the story with them and playing with them, you're making your story up as you're going along. The child needs to participate in the experience, collect the objects, take a little bag, put some things in it when you're on your day out, you know, bring it back and feel them, explore them, lay them out, talk about it, put them in order, tell the story around them. The role play, physical play, counting, model making, labelling, music and singing, role play, clothes, dressing up, put on your hat, put on your scarf, put on your gloves, put on a funny jacket, turn into the character, find your inner child again. You know, that's what I've done in the last few years. I've returned to my inner child, which was a long time ago now, but it's connecting back into that point, and you know, by doing those things, you find yourself going back there. It's having joy and having fun. Children love that. They respond so well to it. And that's all I do when I tell the stories on the Storytime show. I don't do it professionally. I'm not an actor. I do not rehearse it. I lose my characters as I'm telling the story. It's all a bit homespun and mayhem, but the children love it. So it's just getting into your own, you know, just have fun with stories. So before I start telling the story, I just want to show you my story bucket. You do not have to have a story bucket to tell a story. This is just an idea for you. You know, I'm full of lots of creative ideas, and I've over the last years developed lots of story buckets. I just like the idea of all the objects for the story going in one place, so you're not looking for them, they're in one location. So it could be a story box with story bag. The beauty of a story bucket with this around it is that this is what you use in your garden for your trowels and that sort of thing. I've just added labels for children who might be reading and reading Braille. So this works for lots of different children. I have it set up for lots of courses. But this bucket apron goes round the bucket, and it gives a great more organised space. So children love to find. Remember one of the experiences I just shared with you, and actually going in the pocket and finding something. I found a pair of glasses, Gwen. Yeah, what I'm going to do with those? We're going to wear them for the story of Marvin. So they can put those on and feel them and put them on the face. And then they're Marvin. They're being Marvin while we tell the story. So it's just a few little things for flowers, because we're going to visit Flora Flower. And so there's a few plastic flowers in there. Bought them off Amazon. You know, just anything. Silk flowers, real flowers. So in the pockets are the objects from the story. So I'll look at a story, or a story that's about your child, of the objects you've collected when you've been on your day out. You brought 5 things back from your day out: a receipt, a napkin, a stone off the beach, or whatever it is, a leaf off the floor, and you put them in the pockets. And then they're there in one place, ready for the birthday party. And I show this to teachers all the time in schools about doing this, about having everything there together. So this is Marvin's grandma that I've doctored a rag doll and given her a hat to make her look like she's got grey hair, and I've added buttons to it. And I took the white collar off because his grandma has a red dress with yellow buttons. But you know, you don't have to buy the stuff. It's a case of doctoring really what you've already got. You know, it's not, oh, I've got to buy all that to be able to do that story. Don't do that. Use what you've got around you in the house. Make the story about what's happening in the house. You know, have one about having a shower, have one about having your breakfast. Children love that sort of thing, and it's the same principle as the basket I've just shown you. And again, don't forget, all those skills exist in there, the same skills as I've been showing you: the language, the vision, the tactile, the fine motor. They're all in that story ready, just in that story bucket. So it's just to give you the idea. The sad thing and the frustrating thing is that I cannot find that bucket apron anymore. I bought loads of them a few years ago on Amazon. It's a Dalek, D-A-R-L-A-C bucket apron, and you can't buy it anymore. You can buy other bucket aprons, but you can't buy that one. This was about £5, but I think I bought that many. I probably did them out of business or sold out and didn't replace them. But even if you didn't have the apron, you can still put the things in a bucket or a box with a lid. Whatever you've got, really. Decorate the box with your children. You know, make it a fun thing to do. You know, and then it engages them in the process. They're part of the action, they're part of the experience, and they're developing the fine motor and tactile discrimination skills at the same time. Okay, so excuse me a second. Okay. Boys and girls, mums and dads, grandparents and carers, warm welcome to the Sparkly Box of Stories Storytime Show! Woo! Woo! Whoopity doo! Woo! Boys and girls, my name is Gwen. My name is Gwen. My name is Gwen. My name is Gwen. Boys and girls, my name is Gwen. A very warm welcome to the Sparkly Box of Stories Storytime Show. all. I brought my friend along to meet you. Oh, is it my turn, Gwen? Oh, you never guess who's here to meet you all. Yeah, I brought my friend. Here he is. Oh, Gwen, you never said I was meeting new people today. You know how I like to meet new people and make new friends. I know you do, Marvin. I know I kept it as a surprise. Well, you surprised me, Gwen. Who's here, Gwen? Well, Gwen. Well, Marvin, there's lots and lots of fantastic parents and grandparents and carers who've come to learn about literacy with me. Oh, brilliant, Gwen. You're always doing that, aren't you? I know I am, Marvin. You're busy, Gwen. I know. So are you, Marvin, because you have to take part too. Oh, can I say hello, Gwen? Of course you can, Marvin. They'd love to say hello to you. Hello, everybody. My name is Marvin, and I am a really kind and helpful little boy, and I really, really love to meet new people and make new friends. I've got black spiky hair, yeah, not like Gwen, so she's curly, yeah, and I've got black glasses on like Gwen's. I've got a big smile on my face, just like Gwen. I've got a yellow jumper, just like Gwen's, and then I've got green shorts and blue boots. And by the way, everybody, guess what? I am fab. Anyway, Gwen, we've not got long. I know it's going past quick, isn't it, Marvin? I know, Gwen. Shall we sing the song and tell our story, Gwen? I think we better had, Marvin. Come on then, Gwen, get up off the chair. You can't sing when you're sitting down. I know I can't, Marvin. With a 3 and a 2 and a boom, 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 and a go, 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 until you go. Go, 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 until you go with a boom, 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 boom. Oh, welcome to the wonderful world of Marvin. He's such a character, he's so charming. A time for adventure, here we go. But Marvin won't appear unless we give a cheer for our hero. Woo! Boys and girls, mums and dads, grandparents and carers, give yourselves a warm applause for an amazing participation in the Marvin theme song. That was wonderful. Right, boys and girls, mums and dads, grandparents and carers, we're going to tell you a story of Marvin's Market Adventure and Grandma's special birthday picnic. It's built in the everyday experience of a child, a little boy called Marvin, who wanted to buy a picnic because it was his grandma's birthday. Grandma wore a red dress with the yellow buttons. She held a basket with a flower in it, and she had silver blue hair, sparkly and glittery hair. And she loved Marvin very, very much. So let's put Grandma on our backdrop. Grandma. Okay. Marvin loved his grandma very much, indeed. Yeah, okay. Just move that so you can't see it. Okay. Marvin was a very kind and helpful little boy, and he loved to help his grandma do the garden when he visited her. Grandma and Marvin loved to plant carrots, potatoes and sunflowers together. Marvin couldn't wait to see which vegetables and flowers had grown each time he visited his grandma. He arrived at his grandma's house after school one Friday. Oh, hello, Marvin. How are you today? Have you had a good day at school? Said Grandma, giving Marvin a big hug. Oh, yes, I played Tig. I played running races with my friend Arabella and listened to a story with my teacher, said Marvin. Grandma was really funny and she used to make Marvin really laugh. She would give names to the vegetables and flowers and talk to them as they grew. The vegetables loved the names that Grandma gave them. They loved to grow alongside each other and they would chat away. with Grandma. And there were two vegetables in particular. There was one called Potty Tatty Tatty, and Potty Tatty Tatty, and Potty Tatty Tatty, and Crafty Carry the Carrot, and Crafty Carry the Carrot, and Potty Tatty Tatty, and Crafty Carry the Carrot. And they would sit and laugh with Grandma all day. They were so, so funny. Crafty Cara the Carrot and Potty Tatty Tatto. There they are with Grandma. After helping Grandma in the garden, Marvin went home. He wanted to make his grandma a nice surprise for her birthday. He wanted to buy her a picnic. He would get her a fish for the pond and a beautiful flower for the garden and make her a nice picnic to eat. He sat at the kitchen table and wrote a very big shopping list of all the things for Grandma's special picnic. What was he going to need? Scratched his head. I will need to buy for my grandma a flower for the garden. One flower for the garden. I need a beautiful yellow flower for the garden. I also need, he said, I need to buy some vegetables, beautiful apples, carrots and bananas for my grandma's picnic. Yum, 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 yum. I'll keep her very healthy. I need to buy her gingerbread people. Oh, she loves gingerbread people, said Marvin. Yellow gingerbread people. And, I know what I need. I need to get bread rolls, shiny, beautiful, crispy bread rolls. Yum, yum, they smell so delicious. And I need to get her cake, yes, for her birthday, to celebrate her birthday with beautiful cherries on top. And I need to get, I nearly forgot, a bottle of homemade lemonade, my grandma's favourite. And one more thing, I need to get her a fish for her pond, a beautiful fish for her pond. Oh, my grandma's going to love this picnic. And so Marvin thought, I need to get my shopping bag. I wonder what size of shopping bag I'm going to need. He went to the cupboard and he found a really big shopping bag. I think everything will fit into this. And then he went and found his piggy bank, his pink piggy bank. There it is. He found his big piggy bank. He got some money in it, turned it upside down and emptied it. And he put all the money from his pink piggy bank into his shiny, shiny, shiny wallet. And he set off to the marketplace. I wonder who he's going to meet. So, as I'm changing my scene, the opportunities for developing literacy and story experience pop out of this at me. You know, we've got planting carrots and vegetables, smelling vegetables, eating vegetables. I don't know, all children tend to like vegetables, do they? But they can explore them, they can feel the coldness of them, they can feel the shape of them, they can feel the texture on their skin, they can feel one peeled, one unpeeled. They can think about grandmas and loving grandmas. So all those experiences, those everyday experiences that I was telling you about earlier, are in that first chapter. Experiencing emotions, experiencing plants, experiencing community. All those things are there. You've got numeracy. We're using vision to look at the shiny wallet. Will the bag be big enough for the things we're going to put into it? Is it the right size? So you're bringing in shape and form and purpose and size and activity. All the literacy access skills I can get in that one chapter, and I would really milk that learning opportunity. I'd go and find real flowers, buy real flowers, plant real flowers. I'd then compare it with a plastic flower to understand the difference. It's a pretend flower. So I could pretend with the flower in my role play and in my imaginary play. I'd match, and all these things here, that's the sort of thing on a smaller scale I would make with the child. You know, we'd make a potty tatty tatto, we'd make that fun character, we'd make a grandma, just a face of a grandma. That's what we're going to do on the Storytime show. We're going to make the puppet of the grandma, we're using a paper plate. So we're role playing, imaginary playing, model making, craft making. All the skills are there. They exist. They're easy to find and they're easy to develop and support through, because it's an everyday experience. Whether it's grandma, granddad, uncle, auntie, friend, You know, it's the same sort of principle. Making a picnic is an exciting thing to do. It's a lovely thing to do. So the opportunities for developing are ongoing. Going to the shop, looking at the list. The list doesn't have to be a written list. It can be in picture format, like I've done, where I've stuck the papers on, or it can just be in the real object. It could be the real object or a pretend object. It doesn't have to be a written list. So in other words, whatever the child's position is or is where they're at, this will work for all children. I've seen it being used with teenagers and primary and early years. It lends itself beautifully because it's in the everyday experience of the child. And make a hat together, make a potato hat. It's just a piece of cardboard with 2 eyes stuck on it and a bit of a pipe cleaner sticking out of it. You know, it's just a funny potato shape. Potatoes are all sorts of sizes and shapes, aren't they? So you have a lovely, lovely, lovely way of extending so many great learning opportunities just in that one chapter. Okay, I'm going to move my props and get the next lot in. So just bear with me a second while I do that. Finish with that. And I'll leave that one up. This is a slightly bigger one. Oh, they can't see it now, that's good. Okay, just bear with me, folks, while I just swap over. So I don't get in a big heat. Okay, right, we're going to go and visit Floral Flower now. Okay, so I'm going to take that hat off. So we're going to go and visit Flora Flower, Flora Flower, Flora Flower, Flora Flower. We're going to visit Flora Flower. A Flora Flower wears a beautiful red apron with a yellow flower on it. So we're matching the flower at the stand, at the Flora Flower stand, with a flower on my apron. So it's matching, it's the same. I'm visually attending, I'm visually fixating on this flower. So I can develop my visual skills while looking at the flower. It's on a plain background. You can put it on a black background as well. I'm acting the part of Flora Flower. I've just cut out a sunshine, like a round with a, just out of card. And I've covered it. I buy this glitter paper from Amazon, this amazing glitter paper. It doesn't look anything in this light, but in the spotlight, it just shines so deeply. It's fantastic stuff. Kids love it on the shows I'm doing because it's really engaging in the screen. And I've just took 2 blue eyes and a big red shiny mouth on it. So now it can be Flora Flower, or it can be Sunny, actually it's Sunny Sunflower that we're going to meet. And that's just a simple card band stuck on there. You don't have to have the hat, you do it without the hat. And now, in that moment, I've become Flora Flower. So, or I'm Sunny Sunflower and Flora Flower at one and the same time. So here we go. Here is Flora Flower. She wears a red hat and she's got beautiful black glittery hair and a red apron with a yellow flower on to match mine. So we can do match. She's holding a beautiful flower. Got a little blue skirt on and little black boots with blue buttons. Flora Flower. And then this is her flower bucket on her stall. How lovely. There we go. Let's go and see what happens when Marvin gets to visit Flora Flower. The market was very noisy. People were shouting and talking and laughing, and babies were crying. Marvin looked for the first thing on his shopping list. It was a beautiful flower for his grandma's garden. Marvin set off to Flora Flower's stall. All the flowers on Flora Flower's stall were in big buckets and looked so bright and colourful. There were red ones, blue ones, yellow ones and orange ones. And they were blowing in the breeze. You can blow the flowers in the breeze. There was a girl standing at the stall and she had on a red hat and red apron with a yellow flower. She was sniffing the flowers. La 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 la. She hadn't noticed Marvin until she nearly bumped into him. Oh, hey Marvin. What is your name? She said extremely quickly. Did you say your name was Marvin? She put out her flower, the flower that she had in her hand, to shake Marvin's hand instead of her hand, and giggled. Silly me. Try again, Flora Flower. Did you say your name was? Oh, not my flower. Han. Marvin, hello. My name's Flora Flower. Marvin giggled. You're really funny, you are, aren't you? I shook her hand. I'm very pleased to meet you. How may I help you today? Are you looking for a beautiful flower? I have lots of flowers on my flower stall. Do you want a red one, blue one, yellow one, or orange one? She said to him. Marvin was busy sniffing the flowers. These flowers are amazing, Flora Flower, he said. When suddenly he noticed a little sunflower all on its own. Its flowers had got damaged by the rain, and the petals were really damaged. Oh no, it was singing a sad little song. I'm a sad little flower sitting all alone. Please buy me and take me home. Marvin felt sorry for the flower and thought it would get better in his grandma's garden. Hello, little flower, you look so sad. I'm going to choose you. The flower gave a little giggle. Marvin looked again in the bucket. I thought that flower giggled, he thought to himself. He went to pick up the flower and it shouted, Yippee! You did speak, said Marvin. I thought I heard a little voice, he said, laughing. Hello, thank you for picking me. My name is Sunny Sunflower and I am magic, said the sunflower. She did a curtsy, a hop, a jump and a skip and started to walk alongside Marvin. I can help you to make a picnic for your grandma. I would love to be your friend, Marvin. I would really love to help make that beautiful picnic. Come on, Marvin, let's go. And off they set for the next stall. So these chapters I'm doing for you this morning are a slightly reduced version. I've shortened them right down. They go on for a bit longer and there's a little bit more detail to them. But it's just to give you the essence of it, really, because what I want to show you, again, is the great learning opportunities. You know, we can enjoy going to smell the flowers, we can feel the flowers, we can look at the flowers blowing in the breeze in the garden, we can plant some flowers, we can send flowers to say thank you, somebody who's not very well, so we can think about how we use flowers. We can make a book about flowers, we can press some flowers and make a book about them. We can pretend to be Flora Flower and visit Flora Flower. We can make an apron and put a flower on it. We can make a sunflower on our hat. So we can go and plant a sunflower for that matter and watch it grow. So the opportunities are great. And also Marvin's picked a flower that's the saddest flower, the tattiest flower, so we can talk about emotions and differences and making sure we value everybody. So there's lots of possibilities to develop emotional work there as well and talk about feelings. So I think Flora Flower Stall lends itself so nicely. And all the flowers in my bucket, yes, for lots of children, there'll be too many flowers. You just need to use one to represent on a plain black background. I'm just modelling general ideas this morning rather than to specific children, but you know, and if I had more time I could stretch that out and show that in more detail. This is just to cue you in really today. But you know, you'd have less flowers, but it depends on the child. You know, every child's different, so every child needs something, their flower bucket preparing in the way that works for them. Their flower bucket might be one flower laid flat on the tabletop. It might be a flower positioned on the backdrop there. I buy this heavy duty Velcro from Amazon. It's got to be heavy duty and it's spiky. I'm on obviously one side spiky, one side soft. But if you stick the spiky side to anything you make, this is just called grey boards that I buy from Amazon. Buy it in A2 pieces, or I have A3 as well. But if you stick that to the back, and then on your apron front, you can put the soft side, then that will stick to it on your black apron. And I show that a lot in my other courses. And also, if you see how Flora Flower stuck to the backdrop there, Well, she's just hooked up with one. She's just hooked up with one piece of Velcro. It's amazing how she stays up. Actually, I don't think she's going to fall down, but it just stays up really, really well. I'll show you on the flower. So I just stick that on the back, and then that stays up on the backdrop. So you can set up a little zone at home with your black felt of just 10 quid for a couple of meters off Amazon in the roll. And there you go. Or have white as well, because it's the contrast that matters. It doesn't have to be black. It's just about the contrast being good. And some colours look better on white than they do on black. It's having a combination of both. I have both that I peg up there. But you see, then you've got a simple backdrop to put your stuff onto. And it's cost you very little. It's all my things are low cost. And, you know, that's a basic fish shape or flower shape built on the grey backboard, covered in that glitter paper, A4 glitter paper, which is amazing. I love it. And I just stuck 3 red stripes on a blue circle. That's all I've done. And now I've got myself a hat, a fish hat for the next stall that I'm going to visit. So I'm creating the characters, but I'm doing it with the children, but they're all engaging. And, you know, you can adjust it to suit your child. So, you know, it's easy fun and it's easy stuff. And obviously I've got a lot here because I do this for a living, and I'm modelling and showing all the time. So I've got tons of stuff. You don't have to have as many things as I've got. I'm giving you all the ideas for inspiration for you to take away and you know, use the bit that works for you and your child. So I'm going to go and visit Fishman Phil next. And I've also developed all these weird and wonderful voices. I'm not saying they're the best voices, you know, I'm not a trained actor and I don't want to be one either. But children love it when you do things like that, you know. And I know from doing this and performing it, they go away and they're going, they love the rhythm. And actually on the storytime shows, I use a lot more rhythm than I'm using this morning. You know, during this story, you know, I do a lot of repetition. That's why I say my name a lot and say their names. I say their names a few times at the beginning, so it's repeated on purpose. Everything I do is for a purpose, and it's important because it engages the child then by being repetitive and using that rhythm. So we're going to visit Fishman Phil! Fishman Phil! Fishman Phil! So it's a nice one, isn't it? And it's nice to do, fun. It's all part of it, auditory language, sound, music, singing, rhythm. So I'm now going to be Fishman Phil, and he wears a really big jacket, a big green jacket with big bumpy fish, big bumpy fish, big bumpy fish, big bumpy fish. And smooth little shiny fish, smooth little shiny fish. So on the pockets of my big Fishman Phil's jacket, to zip it up first, I've got, on the little pockets, I've got little smooth shiny fish on the little pockets. And I've got big bumpy fish, bumpy fish on the big pockets. So a great sorting activity awaits, doesn't it? Tactile discrimination, exploring the shape, finding things, putting things in. Concept development pops out of this jacket. I'm role-playing being Fishman Phil. Is the jacket too big for me? Does it fit me? Do I need a smaller jacket? I'm falling into character as Fishman Phil. And the kiddies love it. Love to be Fishman Phil. Here we go. Now, big fish on my head. I'm a fisherman now. I'm a fisherman. Fisherman Phil. Fisherman Phil. So let's change our scenery and bring out Fishman Phil! Fishman Phil! Fishman Phil! Okay, so here comes the bucket. Put my little cloth over the top. The welly boots. See how my face disappears? That's because there's not enough black. Once I've got these up, it'll come back into focus. So I've got, there's my fish, that's Fishman Phil, and that's my shiny fish. and a bumpy fish made out of fluorescent cardboard with shiny CDs on with coloured middles. It's dead simple to make. Old CDs that you're not using anymore on a black background, just put them on a piece of black card to make them stand out. Doesn't that look great with fluorescent laces off the bottom? So you can shine the torch on the CDs and you can feel the bumps on the bumpy fish. And you've got your own bumpy fish that you've made with your child. They'll love it. And then I've got a smaller, smooth, shiny fish as well. And it's just a cardboard cutout. It's Tesco silver wrapping paper, and I've just drawn around it and sellotaped it on the back. You don't have to have the handle. I've just got that so I can use it like that. So you've got a big fish and a little fish. You could go and smell a fish, taste a fish, feel a fish, come back, cut out your cardboard fish, and then use the voices. And I've tried to do a deep grunty voice for the bumpy fish and a high-pitched voice for the shiny fish to attach of sound and a different sound to each character. I mean, I don't have the best range of voices going, and I have to watch my vocal cords these days, but so I've done so much shouting and singing on this story time show. But it's fun, isn't it? And then this is my really big bumpy fish to match my bumpy fish on my hat. And it's just, again, a piece of grey cardboard, painted yellow with acrylic paint, and kids can join in with that if they want to, or siblings. And then I've just used a bit of paper and added 2 stripes and a red eye. Dead simple, nothing fancy, you know, and I've got myself a big bumpy fish. So, okay, get this one done and one more. I might not get to right to the end of the story, but that's okay. I'll have given you enough idea. Okay, Marvin and Sunny Sunflower looked for the second thing on the list. It was a fish for the pond. Off they went to Fishman Phil's stall to buy a fish. As they arrived at the stall, they saw Fishman Phil, who was carrying a really big pile of boxes. Hello, Marvin, how are you doing today? Not seen you for ages. Suddenly, just as he was starting to wave hello to Marvin, he slid on a fish that was on the floor, that was wriggling on the floor. Oh no! Fishman Phil and all his boxes of fish went flying through the air. All went quiet, and then there was a crash, a bang, and a wallop as the boxes and Fishman Phil landed on the floor with a big smash. The boxes burst open, and all the fish went slipping and sliding all over the floor. Said Marvin. Those fish smell so fishy. Oh, pongy, said Marvin. Hey, said Fishman Phil. All my fish are muddled up. All the big bumpy ones are muddled up with the smooth little shiny fish. What am I going to do? Said Fishman Phil, sounding worried. Don't worry, Fishman Phil, said Marvin. We can help you, said Marvin. The big bumpy fish, big bumpy fish. I'm a bumpy fish, bumpy fish. And the smooth little shiny fish, smooth little shiny fish were all muddled up. They were going bump, shiny, all over the floor. They were wriggling and singing, we are shiny, we are small, you will never catch us all. And the fish giggled and wriggled around. Marvin said, I'll help, let's sort them out. Come on, Sunny Sunflower. And he picked up the fish. Oh, this one's bumpy, bump. A shiny. Fishman Phil, this one goes in the bumpy fish box. I'm going to put this in the bumpy fish box, bumpy fish in the bumpy fish box. And Fishman Phil, this one's tiny and smooth. I'm going to put this one, Fishman Phil, into the shiny fish box. Soon Marvin and Sunny Sunflower had sorted out all the fish into the right box. The bumpy fish were in the big bumpy fish box, and the smooth little shiny fish were in the shiny fish box. Now then, Marvin, let me just have a look, make sure you've done that properly. Let me have a look now. Let me see. Bumpy fish, bump. Yeah, that one's bumpy. Let me see that one. Yeah, that one's bumpy. Bump. Yeah, that one's bumpy. Ah, very good, that, Marvin. Now let me check your shiny fish. Yep, shiny fish. Oh, Marvin, they're all shiny in that one. You've got all the fish in the right boxes, Marvin. What a clever boy you are. Oh, thanks, Fishman Phil. Thanks ever so much for saying that. Marvin Marvin suddenly felt something in the bottom of his Wellington boot. Ah! Oh! Oh! He started to jump up and down. Fishman Phil, there's something in your boot, and I don't know what it is. I think it might be a smooth little shiny fish, said Marvin. Fishman Phil, could I have this one for my grandma's pond? Oh, of course you can, Marvin. That would be my pleasure. And I tell you what, Marvin, because you're such a kind and helpful little boy, you can have it for free. Now then, Marvin, I'm going to put this fish in here with some water. Now you go careful, Marvin. No spilling, Marvin. Walk carefully now as you leave this stall. And off Marvin went, carrying the fish really, really carefully. Suddenly, he heard a little voice say, "Thank you for picking me. My name is Little Shiny Fish, and I am magic." Marvin jumped back. Wow, you talk. Wow, are you magic? He said again. I am magic. I would love to meet your grandma and make a picnic for her. Very pleased to meet you, said Little Shiny Fish. And he did a hop, a skip and a jump, and he started to walk alongside Marvin. And with that, Sunny Sunflower, Little Shiny Fish and Marvin set off to the next stall. So, great opportunities, isn't there, in the fish stall? Fish, the smell of fish markets, which I don't personally really go a bundle on. There's making your model, there's sorting your fish, sorting into the boxes. It's brilliant discrimination, categorisation, tactile discrimination, feeling the shape. You're giving your children a wonderful multi-sensory experiences with lots of different fish shapes, you know, and being Fishman Phil, picking the fish up, you know, actually picking them up, wearing the Wellington boots, putting the fish into a bucket, making the model of the fish, eating some fish. So you're extending the fishness of fish, the fishness of fish. If you put a little sound with it, it connects the child in. Fishman Phil, bumpy fish, etc. So you end up with all those elements I've been sharing with you. You end up with all those elements really come together. And yes, it's through the stories that you can really build those skills. Plus, obviously, what happens in the school setting and the specific work on the specific visual skill areas. So, and that is the learning and the story and the way they need the story delivering to them. Oh, Gwen, that was great. I know it was, Marvin, wasn't it? Gwen, can we finish this little bit by singing the song? We can, Marvin. We've got a lovely song. All my songs for my shows are written by my son, Tom. We've got lots of different songs. We've just shared two with you this morning, but singing is a really important part of literacy. So we're going to sing the song and I'm going to show you some learning activities. And I've got my eye on the time to make sure we've got time for questions. So I'm watching my little clock down here. But it's important that I share with you as many parts of the story as I can. Okay, you ready, Marvin? Yeah, take it away, Gwen. Are you ready? Here we go. It's the end of the show. Oh, where did the time go? There's so much more to say. We'll be back very soon, but now it's time for the moon to light the Milky Way. Everybody wave to Marvin. So wave goodbye to Marvin. He's been our hero. He's been so charming. It's been fun to learn and play, and we'll see you, Marvin, on another day. We'll see you, Marvin, on another sunny day. Yay! Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray! Oh, Gwen, that was great. I know we love it, don't we, Marvin? You go back to bed then, Marvin. Okay, Gwen, we've got another busy day. We're celebrating 1 year of our Storytime show with a big birthday party on Zoom with all the children from last year who watched. So you better go and get some sleep, Marvin. Okay, Gwen, if you say so, I do. Bye-bye, everybody. Right, anyway, that's a little bit of the Storytime show. to show you what's going to happen in June and July, linked into all the ideas for literacy. And now, just for 5 minutes till 1:45, I'm going to show you a few of my, I call them learning activities. And again, the things I'm showing you may not be suitable for all your children, because for me to do a course, I'd have to do for each of your children would have to be an individual course for your child. So it's always slightly on the more general side, because that's the best I can do in the, with the time available and not knowing your individual children. So I'm just going to change my camera onto my tabletop. So you'll see the clutter that I'm surrounded by. Just a second. Yeah, great. Okay, so just push things out so you can see. I'm always searching for space. Right, so in no particular order. The book. I need to show you the book. I'm going to show you the book first, because I think if I run out of time, this is an important one for me to show you. I was saying about collecting your objects for your story, and even if you're on your day out, collecting your objects on your day out in a little bag and coming back and making a book. Well, this is an example of that, really. So first of all, in my shopping bag here, which has got very tatty, but that's okay, because we can talk about old shopping bags and new shopping bags and paper shopping bags and plastic shopping bags. Talk about recycling shopping bags, can't we, these days? In the bag, so the shopping bag is obviously the bag he's going to use to get that bag, put his things in for his grandma's picnic. And then in the bag, there's one item from each chapter. So there is the shopping bag is from the first, and then my flowers come apart. A plastic flower from Flora Flowers store, or you could put a real flower in. And so these are all the objects the children can hold while you're telling the story. Okay, it's plastic fencing, so it clicks together. And then he visits Fishman Phil. So I've got a bumpy fish and I've got a smooth, shiny fish. So I'm doing big and little. I bet you could put a soft toy fish in, or a model of a fish. Then he visits Vegman Vernon, which we've run out of time for, and he buys the fruit and the vegetables. Vegman Vernon, and he buys carrots and bananas and apples and oranges. So I've just put 2 little felt carrots. And then he goes to see Barbara Baker, the lovely cake maker, to buy his bread and his cake, his birthday cake. So I'll put a little chef's hat in, but you could put a little shape of a cake in, or a plastic cake. And then on the front page, sorry, I forgot to include those, there's Marvin's glasses, like party glasses. And then the final one, the final chapter, is the picnic, so we can sing happy birthday to Grandma. So one object from each story of the, each chapter of the story. So, or if you were going out for the day with your child, collect the items that are engaging from the day out you've had, whether it's a receipt, or it's a leaflet, or it doesn't matter if they can't read the print on the leaflet, it's having the shape of it, it's the collection of the items from the day, and bring them back and then make your book. So I should put that in a big pile there. So in my book, I've just used a £1 lever arch folder from Wilkinson's. You can use cardboard, or I laminate my paper with matte laminate, not gloss, because gloss is glary. And on each page, I've just added the glasses. So they can take the glasses off because they're velcroed on and put them on, or they can match them to the pair of glasses that you've given them. So they're feeling the shape, it's the same shape. They can go and feel other glasses on other people in the house. Talk about glasses. Then there's the shopping bag. Then there's the flower. So you're doing matching, sorting, feeling the shape. Go and find a real flower. Big bumpy fish, small fish. I deliberately put this on a shiny page. There's one page that's different, and I can shine my torch on it to engage attention. So I specifically have done that to make it different on purpose. Then the carrots, then the pat, and then the pom-pom. It's a nice tactile experience. It's nice and crunchy. I can do, I can squeeze with my hands. I can feel the shape of it, and I'm understanding the shape and form of the pom-pom. So that is, then when you've done that, read the book, talk about the experience with your child lots of times, go back and back and back, and it builds up their story understanding, their story experience. There was a mum of a little girl who had complex needs, and she wanted to do the reindeerness of reindeer with her daughter. So she booked a one-on-one with the reindeer, and 3 weeks before she went to visit the reindeer, she started smelling carrots, ringing bells, feeling fur, not real fur, false fur, and talking about reindeers in the car at bedtime, singing reindeer songs, all that I've been doing this morning. And then they visited the reindeer, they took a little bag with them, they fed the reindeer, they filled the bag with a few things to bring home from the experience. She hugged the reindeer, came back, and then they made a book about the reindeer, about the visit to the reindeer, just like I've got here. Her mum added an audio label to each page, just with one word on or a sound, and the little girl really loved turning the pages and listening to her mummy's voice. And that little girl had lots of complex needs, CVI, and she just loved that book because it's about their experience, and you've built them up to it. Then they have the experience, then you come back and do this, and then they want to read the book because it's more meaningful to them, because it's about an experience that they've had. So, lots and lots of books like this linked to the real experience. So anywhere you go, collect a few things, come back and either put it in a book or put it in a box or lay them out and talk about them. And use sound, sing about it, make I have very few songs in my own repertoire, but I just put a little bit of rhyme to things, Gwyn, Gwyn, Gwynny, Gwyn, Gwyn came out of, I don't know where really, one day really. I didn't set off with that, it just came to me, so just sort of fun things like that. Right, one more activity, and then I'm going to come to questions, so I don't not give you that time. So these are just gingerbread people that I've cut out and made. You can make these with your children. You can, on the internet nowadays, there's lots of templates you can print up or draw from. And I've just added pom-poms and little googly eyes. And I've done big, medium, and small. So again, we're doing tactile discrimination. This is great for model making, great for a craft, great for enacting the story of the gingerbread people when we get to that chapter. You could make some gingerbread, smell some gingerbread. So you're doing the gingerbreadness of the gingerbread person. So, and then I've got them in different shiny, different colours there as well. I actually bought, the actual, cookie cutter in the gingerbread shape to make mine. But then you can make up a story about the gingerbread people. Could be going on holiday. They could be going to the seaside, and you can give them names. This is mummy, this is daddy, and this is my brother and sister. So you can create the story through the gingerbread people and give them all names. So you're using the characters from the story to extend as well and have fun with. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. So there's a bit of time for questions. I'll leave my mouse now. There we go. Yeah, so just to summarise, it is what I've said all the way through. It's the main thing is to have fun. Create the story from the everyday experience of your child. It's right around you right now, waiting to be created. And any activity you do with your child is a story experience. Collect things in a bag, either use them and put them on the table, just explore them, or put them on pages and make a book. Role play, engage, have fun. Use imaginary play to reenact the story. Reenact the story of going to school, reenact the story of having a shower. Pretend play is so important. We learn so much through play. It really forms us as people. We need to play and you know, engage in that way. You know, model making and crafts, using a box, making it into a bus, making it into a car, making it into a caravan, that sort of thing is really great. But all the time you are addressing those literacy access skills, and you're supporting them, and you're building the concepts of the world for your child through those activities. You know, so just have fun with it, and it's in your house now waiting. So does anybody want to ask me any questions? I was just reading what was said in the I was just catching up with the, oh, you have to look somewhere different, don't you? I'm looking in the chat box, but there's another thing here, isn't there? I get it now. Yeah, how long, Rebecca's asked, how long do you spend on one story? Days, weeks, months? Well, again, it's so tricky, that, Rebecca, isn't it? Because you might be flogging, you might get to feeling that you're being so repetitive. I think maybe if you've done it for a few weeks, maybe introduce a second one. You know, maybe have two on the go. Again, it's so dependent on the child, really. But I think it's okay to have more than one story on the go. I think it's making sure you don't overwhelm your child with too much too soon. But I think it's fine to have a couple, you know. And if it's not working, and you know, if it's not working and you really feel like getting nowhere, then maybe move on. But sometimes we've got to sort of almost keep going, because we don't know when the child's going to connect with us and make that progress. So we can make very sweeping assumptions if we're not careful of what we think is going to happen or not happen, and give in before we ought to give in. And it's difficult, and I can't be precise and say it's this or that. It's very much your gauge as a parent, really. But I think, you know, it's fine. Go with what you feel is your gut reaction there. There's no right or wrong. You won't be ever getting it wrong, and you're more likely to be getting it right, Rebecca. So I would think that if you feel another story would be lovely, one in the morning, one in the evening, happy days. You know, go for it, Rebecca. You know, you'll find out, won't you? By doing it, you think, oh no, actually, I've gone a bit too soon with that. Don't worry about. Your judgment is a good judgment, Rebecca, but there's no prescriptive answer, really. Auditory button. Amazon is your best bet. Talking pegs. I don't think there's a talking peg in that bucket. Just a second. Let me just see if I've got a talking peg lurking in the bottom of it. Yeah, I have. I mean, there's various audio buttons. You can buy like a little audio button. They come in different colours from, well, I say Amazon. I'm sure you can get them from other places as well. But these are talking pegs, and they come in 6 bright colours. I like those because they peg over your over a box or on the edge of a Lazy Susan, and so they are, and also you can put something on the front of it. You can put a tactile texture on there if you wanted to. So what you do with these, it's got 3 little buttons. It says record, off, and play. So you turn it to record. I'm getting confused because that thing's in the middle. Let me just put that down for the minute. I'm getting the chat thing up and I can't see what I'm doing. So if I press record, put the button up to the top, these 2 little buttons here, and you hear it go pip. You go, hi, it's Gwen. And then you put it to the bottom, play. And you hear it go pip. You go, hi, it's Gwen. And I mean, it'll take more words than that. I don't know how many, but I think they're fantastic. They're a bit more money. They're probably about 40 quid, but I think they're a really good investment. And I like the fact that they've got that flexibility, you know, that you can peg them round. Put one in each room of the house, couldn't you? With a shape on it or a colour, you know, put a tactile shape on there. They are easy to do with children, Emma Cornish. Thank you very much. They're simple concepts. They are simple concepts. That's what I mean. I think they lend themselves to all children inclusively. Yeah. Okay, I've got that one. Anybody else want to ask me anything?
Gwen, I've got a question, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
of
What
course.
about some of our students have no hearing? So obviously, if we do a lot of auditory with the singing and labeling things, for those who don't have, what's your advice for that? Is it the routine of it or in the story making?
Yeah, I mean, it's the tactile. If there's no sight and no hearing, if there's a dual loss, sensory loss, you are more on the tactile exploration, aren't you? Using objects and the tactile discrimination to understand the story. If there's no hearing or vision, but if they've got some hearing, what I've found, well, on the storytime shows is my experience of it really, is they really love the rhythm. They really tune in with the rhythm in my voice more than anything. I mean, they will put the iPad, they're watching me on their iPad, and they often lay down to watch the show, and they have it right next to them, listening in for the rhythm. But I think you are more on the rhythm and labelling. I didn't really go into labelling today, but I would always add, and again, it's so dependent on the child. I would always add either print label or a braille label or an audio label, or I might even put on the label a tactile texture of the object we're feeling. So I do something like that, like this. These are just blank credit cards that I buy from Amazon, and I've just added the label on. So you can put an audio label, you can put your braille on there, you can put your print on there. So blank credit cards are good because you don't have to spend ages cutting them out.
Oh, thank you for that.
Does that answer your question though, Vina?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thank you.
I think and it's also cueing them into the story as well, isn't it? Before they have the story, if they're in school and they're in a not at Seashell and somewhere else, is that this is cued into them. They're getting these objects and they're getting this experience, and the characters and the objects are being introduced before the story's happening in the class with the other children. Somebody's asking me how you develop concepts such as happy, sad, and frightened. I think the best way of doing that is through telling a story, because we've got to put the emotion in our voice with the facial expression, and not all children can see the facial expression, and little children don't understand the emotional language because it's too advanced for them. So it's like I was going suddenly, and we were happy one minute and then we had the sad flower. So I'm changing my voice. So they're either tuning into my voice and the emotion in my voice, and then we can perhaps talk about how they're feeling. Or I might, if I was doing this with an individual child where I was really developing that, I might have a very, 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 very simple black and white face, like a white face with black outlines, but very simple, with very, a deep happy smile and a deep sad face and a frightened face. But I'd always put the voice behind it, and I'd use them as puppets and create a story. I wouldn't just go, this is a happy face and this is a sad face. I'd make the puppets on a paper plate with the face on the front of them and use them as part of the story and tell a story and put the voice emotion behind them, and maybe my body language too of how I stand. Because I think our facial expression and the way our facial expression is giving an emotion, isn't it, all the time? And our voice is giving an emotion. So if you can't hear the emotion, we've got to show it in the face. And if you can't see it in the face, we've got to hear it in the voice. And we've almost got to again, imaginary play and role play are really important parts of that. I don't think you can do it in isolation of actually role playing, imaginary play, pretend playing, and it's better to be done through a story rather than a separate thing. That's how I would go about that. That's how I would approach that. And I think if you make the story about your child and life and family life and the emotions we have in families, you've got your greatest starting point ever. And actually making a book about your family is great. You know, having a picture of each family member on each page of a book, but adding a tactile something that represents that family member, and they all put an audio label and go, hello, it's daddy, or hello, it's mummy. So that's a really great starting point as well, a family book. And you could do mummy when she sounds happy and mummy when she sounds sad. There's lots of ways you can, you know, develop emotions, and they're hard because they're intangible, aren't they? And also to be able to feel the face as well, you know, to feel your face when you're happy. And that's where puppets and people like Marvin are great. You know, made Marvin a kind and helpful little boy. He's really smiley. So use puppets as well to tell the story. You know, they're a great engager. And puppets with good high contrast faces are great. And also yourself, when you're working with your child, be really sure where you sit. I know you're all mad busy people and you haven't got time to do this all day every day, but when you're having your engaged story time or your engaged playtime, make sure you're sitting against a black background and not in the glare of the sun, and make sure you wear black, a black top or a black fleece, or put a black towel around you or a black sheet around you. Make sure you've got rid of your earrings and anything that's sparkly, and so that when you show them the object, they can see it really, really well. And don't forget, you can put on a funny nose and a black moustache. Red lipstick is great. When we're doing facial expressions, see how now my face has gone really subtle, and it's harder to see. If I was visually impaired, it would be hard for the child to see my smile now. But at the beginning of this session, I had red lipstick on purpose, because it makes my face look more high contrasting. And eyeliner makes you, it's not about wearing makeup or anything, it's just about making your face high contrast for working with your child. You know, we've got to make it easy. We give them high contrast toys, and then if our face isn't high contrasting, it's harder for them to see. So actually, your face, we need to make our faces high contrast. Glasses are good for that. I've learned this a lot, and I knew it before this last year. I did understand this and I talked about it, but I've realised it more from doing all this online, because I watch myself, I talk to myself the whole time, and I see what I look like. But just as a final point before we go, I do sometimes when I want the child to see me at a distance, and like this on the screen, I want them to engage with me, I use I do wear a bright t-shirt, so I stand out against the black, and also I buy squares of fabric from Amazon in reds and yellows, and they fold over and make a great neckerchief, so that ties up my neck, and again gets the child to look towards me. So that's my final tip.
Yeah. I just want to go in. Lilius has just asked, obviously, again, going back to her son and others who are deaf-blind or congenitally deaf-blind. She says, I've really always struggled with conveying other people's emotions or emotions described in stories. So I suppose tips on that.
Well, what I've just said, really.
Yeah.
I think I can't think of anything other than what I've said. It's that, and doing it lots of times, really. I guess as well, getting the voices, perhaps getting the voices of other people and doing those little audio recordings. I mean, it's tricky, Lilias. I think it is tricky, because they're so subtle, aren't they, in us? Our emotions are so subtle, and our expressions are so subtle, and there are so many fleeting ones that are missed. You know, maybe to try and do not the main emotions, but the ones that are very more obvious, and work on those. But really, my tips are what I've said. You know, make the puppet face tactile, so you can feel the shape of the mouth, the sad or the happy face. But other than that, and working with his body, you know, helping him stand or helping him feel, putting his body in the position that the person might be in, it's difficult because it's so advanced. Our emotions are very subtle, and they're quite an advanced feeling, aren't they, to try and then describe. What I've said is all I can think of, really. But I would work on that consistently, you know, as much as possible. But I understand that it's a challenge, that, Lilia. So I do understand that.
Yeah, I would agree with you that. And it's just that having that experience in the moment as well, isn't it? And that constant repetition of addressing that emotion in the real context of it all.
Yeah, making books, you know, not big books, just simple books, coming back and talking about it, role playing it. You know, it's it is, Vina, it's repetition and over and over again. You know, working on happy, sad, frightened, I think are good ones. You know, because you can be looking one thing, can't you, and feeling something different as well. So emotions are a strange thing, and how we convey them and how each person conveys an emotion is different, isn't it? Depends on how you are as a person. I'm a very effusive person, so I tend to want you to feel comfortable with me, so I work on that, whereas somebody else might be more shy and retiring and not do that. So it's difficult. You've done an order, Liz. Yay, you're my sort of person, Liz. That's great. I love people who go and order on Amazon. That's fantastic. Good stuff. Well, if anybody wants to know where I've got anything from, Vina, if you want to pass on my email to them all after, anybody can email me and ask me where I've got information from. You know, not information, the resources that I've shown, you know, my black background, my Velcro, that sort of thing. Yeah. I'll send you the links to where I buy it from. It's all basically Amazon, to be honest with you. You know, and really it's all low cost. It's a few things which I use in lots of different ways. So I'd be more than happy to share that. And I hope I've encouraged some of you to come to the Storytime show as well. You know, because there's lots of children with lots of complex needs who watch. 200 families of children with deaf-blind watch at the moment. So it really works for the children. It just sometimes takes a bit of time for them to engage, you know, so you have to give it a few weeks, but it works really well.
I think we'll have a follow-up email to all the attendees, and we'll send your email address and that, Gwen.
Yeah, of course you can, Vina.
Right.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay. Yeah, and I'm done, Vina, if you're done, and nobody else wants to ask me anything.
Well, thank you, Gwen. That's absolutely been amazing. We've had lovely feedback from everybody that they've gone away with some fantastic ideas. So thank you so much. It was really inspirational. Thank you so much. Brought it alive. Just brought it alive and in a meaningful way for us to do
thank you, Vina. Well, you know by now, Vina, how I go about this. And I really truly love my work, and I love doing this. So it's a great pleasure. And yeah, I didn't quite get to the end of the story, but it didn't matter. It gave you enough information. It gave you the ideas, and so it's a little bit of hope for something for everybody.
Okay. Right. Thank you, everybody, and have a lovely Friday and a weekend. And thank you, Gwen. I think you need a break now. Your voice will need a rest.
Well, I need to tidy up.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.